I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack. Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man.
No, you won the fight.
OMG. I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Find me on all platforms, Matt Hunter, MCR. But riding solo today, no Rob. It's a little bit late for him over there in the UK. Fu is over on his day job, so no Fugatti for today's boxing show. We will be back tonight, though, at around 8:30 Pacific time for an MMA show breaking down UFC 242 at Abu Dhabi, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Dustin Poirier. And, of course, the recent news of Chris Cyborg moving to Bellator. Anthony Walker, obviously, sometimes contributor of Mixed Combat Radio, and obvious mainstay at ShareDog.com and MMA On Point will be joining me tonight for that show. But today, I should say, or right now, we're going to be covering all things boxing. So, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, is that in trouble? Deontay Wilder's recent comments to 78 Sports TV is worse. Like, it's a little bit worrisome in a way. Like, this isn't what you want to be hearing when the fight is, quote, signed. Along the lines of signed fights, KSI versus Logan Paul is signed, sealed, and delivered. It's official. Staples Center matchroom event. It's a pro fight. No headgear, 10-ounce gloves, and Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney are in the plans to be on the undercard. Plus, we have just a lot more of just topics to get to. We're going to go in detail with the settlement from Regis Prograis and the World Boxing Super Series. Bob Arum has been out there saying that Shakur Stevenson would beat Lomachenko and not Devin Haney. We're going to talk about that, obviously, because it's just funny and it's just laughable to say that. And plus, other news, Julio Cesar Chavez is back in the mix, and he might get a big fight coming up either the end of this year or beginning next year, which we will get to as well. So much to get to. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. But let's get to the topics of the day. And again, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International caller, Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Since I'm solo dolo, I'll take calls anytime in the show. So if you guys just want to jump in, talk about boxing, about anything in boxing, call in. I'm solo dolo. I'm bored right now. We can talk about literally anything. Gary, if you want to talk about Brandon Figueroa for 2 hours, we won't do that, but, maybe 10 minutes. I'll allow that. But moving on, by way of Michael Benson, but from 78 Sports TV, the quote from Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder has declared that he wants Tyson Fury to, quote, step aside and allow him to unify against the winner of the Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Josh rematch next year, if that opportunity arises. He added, I don't feel Fury wants to fight me again anyway. Now, obviously, not what you want to hear in terms of a big fight that is, quote, signed. And again, Mike Coppinger is out there saying Wilder Fury 2 is signed. Shout out to UK Rob, our co-host, asking Mike, and Mike replying on Twitter about this. But whether or not this fight is signed or not, I think is kind of irrelevant at this point. I do believe that regardless of what Wilder is saying in the media, and Wilder is one of those guys, and having interviewed him several times, he kind of rambles. So he says a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily true, is contradictory to things he has said in the past within that same interview. So when you have a guy that just kind of rambles a lot, I'm not surprised he has said something along this line. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised it took this long for this sort of quote to come out from Deontay Wilder about Andy Ruiz and rather fighting him than Ortiz or Fury. But again, I don't think that will happen. I think PBC, Heyman, even Team Wilder, I think everyone involved there that's in his ear will go, look, you can fight, you can try to get out of this Tyson Fury fight, obviously, and you can try to fight the winner of Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua, but let's shore up this storyline. Because if we beat Fury in convincing fashion, we can move on to the winner of Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua, with so much leverage in our pocket that there's no way we don't get a great deal. If we go to them without that win, our leverage isn't the same. Let's just be honest about that. So I think whoever is in Wilder's ear is going to tell him that, regardless of whether or not Wilder's out there in the media saying, look, I would love for Fury to step aside for me to fight Andy Ruiz or Anthony Joshua. But I don't think that's really going to happen. I don't think it would be the smart play. It's not the smart long-term play. Definitely short-term, it makes sense. I mean, it's the bigger fight, bigger money, of course, is the winner of Ruiz-Joshua. But I think long-term, you make so much more money by beating Fury first. I don't see how Eddie Hearn and AJ or Andy Ruiz and his team don't hardball Deontay Wilder for having that draw on his record, for not having that big significant win. And if it's Andy Ruiz, and let's say in theory he beat AJ twice, you think he's going to try to give Deontay Wilder an equitable deal? Or even if he should? It's the same case if AJ wins. Or in the case of AJ winning, we have a trilogy possibility with Ruiz and Joshua. So, again, I think long-term, it's the smart play to go to a Tyson Fury rematch. And if it is, quote, signed, as Mike Coppinger said, then why avoid it now? It's already signed. It's already going to be a big fight. And it's also, it keeps you within the same PBC branding of Fox because it's a co-Fox ESPN pay-per-view. So, again, I'm quite curious as to why Wilder is saying this, but then again, he's a guy that rambles. It's not that shocking. Let me know in the chat, in the comment section, what you guys think. Do you think Wilder is going to really try to get Fury to step aside and not fight him in the first quarter of 2020? Or is this Wilder just rambling and we get a Wilder Fury 2 in the first quarter of 2020 as expected, as it has been reported to be signed? And on top of that, talked about from Bobby Arum and others as a signed fight. Again, I think this is just a little bit of a rambling person, and then the quote taken off. Moving on, KSI Logan Paul is official, guys. It's happening. We're gonna bring a new audience into the sport of boxing. Quote from Matchroom Boxing. I don't know. It's gonna be on DAZN. And on top of that, Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney are alluded to be attached to this card. Devin Haney makes so much sense. Hold on. Matthew Valentine. I'm bored today, guys. So you know me. I'm gonna jump into this. I'll circle back to KSI, whatever. Ravisky, Matt, please, next topic. Ravisky, I gotta talk about it, man. If Devin Haney and Billy Joe Saunders on the card, I gotta talk about it. But first, Matthew Valentine on the card. Matt, you're completely incredible. I don't know if you know what that word means in the context of where you continue with this statement. Wilder does what he wants when he wants. Does that bother you? No. Everyone except, quote, you guys, I don't know what you guys mean, know that draw was bull. No, I mean, I scored the fight 7-5, I think, Wilder upon live watch, right? I think I scored it for Wilder. So upon rewatch, I think I scored a draw. But beside that, come on, dude. Fury avoided Wilder with contract in hand. Yeah, he did that. And we talked about that ad nauseum. What, in February when that happened? In January when that happened? So, yes, Matthew Valentine. I don't know what your point is. But circling back to KSI, Logan Paul, in this fight, look, I have some opinions about it. I do think you have a natural young audience that don't watch the sport, that will be watching the sport, and if you have names like Devin Haney and Benavidez Saunders attached to it that are elite names, that can only be a net benefit for those specific boxers on the card. Whether or not it has a long-term positive effect and brings this new audience into the sport, I find that highly doubtful, to be quite honest. And, whether or not we have people in the chat or in the comment section that are Logan Paul or KSI fans that have been talking about how in 10, 20 years, this is going to be a force within the sport that's going to change everything. Because I have people in the comment section, check out our last video about this topic. Look at the comments. Like, Ruiz knows what I'm talking about. We've had one card per year right now at this pace. We had a card last year. We have a card this year. Is one card per year from these big major YouTubers enough to change the landscape of boxing, bring in this new audience? And even then, is one card a year even sustainable for these guys? Do they want to do that? I don't know, to be quite honest. These guys are probably multimillionaires without fighting. I don't see why there would be any rush to have an actual pro career and bring in this audience. So, again, this long-term effect that people think this fight's going to have on audience growth for the sport, I don't see it. I don't know if there's any data to support that. We had one event last year. Was there any significant increase in a younger demographic watching the sport? Not really. We had the big Showtime reveal last year, right? There's nothing really within those numbers that reflected that. I just don't see, again, how this has long-term effect for the sport. Maybe long-term effect for some of the guys on the card, like a Devin Haney, for example, who's 21 years old and is a young guy, a millionaire, great boxer, flashy. He's going to, I think, communicate well with that audience. Benavidez Saunders is a different story. But, again, it should be good for bringing a new audience in for this one night. Whether or not that changes long-term, whether or not these two gentlemen keep fighting in boxing is a completely different story. And it's impossible to say that this is going to have a drastic effect on the industry when we don't have a case study of it. We literally only have one other event of this nature, and now we have another a year later. Not enough to really collect data, in my opinion. But moving on, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of KSI Logan Paul. Do you guys care? It's a pro fight, no headgear, 10-ounce gloves. Do you care that pros like Devin Haney and Benavidez Saunders are attached to it at all? Or do you just not care because you're hardcore boxing fans that predominantly listen to this show? An interesting note that the hardcore fans in this show have been saying in the comment section of that last video, no, don't put pro fighters on this card. Keep them separate, right? And the YouTuber fans, the people that like Logan Paul and KSI, they're saying the same thing, which I find fascinating that that's happening. I did not expect that to be the case, but both camps are saying, no, keep them separate. Maybe they should. But moving on. Still on DAZN, though, Alexander Usyk and Tyrone Spong is official. one of those days today where a lot of fights are just being announced as official fights that we've already talked about. I hate this fight. I think it makes no sense. It's one of the worst matchups they could have made for him upon entering this division. I think it does nothing for him. I know there was a apparent no Russian rule with who he was fighting, a la Povetkin and Andrei Fedosov or whatever his name was, the undefeated prospect that he almost fought. But guys like Pulev, who are Bulgarian, maybe he could have fought him, drawn him in from ESPN, something. I mean, there must have been somebody could have thrown some money at to make me care. This fight does nothing for me. Let me know in the chat, in the comment section, do you guys care about Usyk Spong? Does this do anything for Usyk's heavyweight debut? Will it bring in MMA fans because of Spong's MMA and kickboxing experience? Or does that largely not matter? Again, guys, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. A little deep dive on the Regis Prograis settlement with the World Boxing Super Series, which some points I found interesting. World Boxing Super Series organizers needed to navigate a tumultuous road, and this by way of Mike Coppinger, by the way of The Athletic. World Boxing Super Series organizers needed to navigate a tumultuous road to get here, much of their own doing. But at long last, the tourney is going to deliver its most anticipated fight to date. Camosa, the group behind the tournament, reached an agreement to settle its dispute with Regis Prograis, paving the way for the American to unify 140-pound titles with Josh Taylor in the final, sources tell The Athletic. The junior welterweight showdown will take place October 26th at London's O2 Arena, per sources, and an announcement is expected this week. Prograis is in the process of signing the bout agreement as well as settlement papers. Interesting to note that neither thing is completely signed yet. Just want to point that out. Hopefully it does get signed. Prograis filed a lawsuit in federal district court earlier this month seeking withdrawal from the tournament amid claims Camosa failed to meet the terms of the escrow agreement following repeated financial losses with the quarterfinal and semifinal. Organizers never countersued. I want to make that point really clear. The Camosa never countersued him at all. And instead, this is my commentator now speaking, and instead sought to resolve the conflict following weeks of negotiations with Prograis, promoter Lou DiBella, and the champion's manager Sam Kavatsky, who works for Peter Berg Management Company as well. A six-figure settlement was reached to bring him back into the fold. Good for Prograis to get a six-figure little, airdrop of cash for putting up with the bullshit. The Prograis team also secured neutral judges, though the referee will be British. A new date was also granted because he wanted an 8-week training camp. Prograis side is still pushing for comprehensive drug testing conducted by VADA, per sources. I also will probably make this point that because of this part in particular, that he wants VADA, expect the agreement and settlement to not be officially signed until that part is cleared up. But good for Prograis for sticking to his guns, getting what he wanted. Supposedly, if all things go through, getting neutral judges, getting a full training camp, which wasn't in the plan at first. Obviously, the gigantic six-figure settlement, which I don't think he was expecting or any of us were expecting, to be honest. And VADA, if that goes through, that's good for him. And also, there remains an outstanding issue relating to Prograis' taxes after World Boxing Super Series organizers failed to pay Ivan Baranchik's taxes from his semifinal bout, per sources. However, the issue is expected to be resolved quickly. So, a lot to sort of dissect with the settlement. But again, all parts look like Prograis won in every aspect. And we get a Prograis-Taylor fight in October in London. And I think that's probably the best place for it, to be quite honest. Right? I mean, what other place would make sense for Prograis-Taylor? Maybe New York. But probably speaking, London made the most sense, and add Eddie Hearn and the Sky machine behind it. I think it would be good. Even though it's pay-per-view, I don't think it's going to do, blockbuster numbers there. going to do a healthy number for the fight. Matt, do you see World Boxing Super Series going back for another year in 2020? From Ruiz in the chat. They're definitely going to try. I think they're going to try. I don't know if they're going to be successful, though. That's a different story entirely, I feel like. Let's go to this part from the Pug and Cop boxing show on The Athletic as well about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Potentially fighting some champions.
Quickly, Lance, before I forget, speaking of guys
Whoa, that was super loud. Oh, my God. I apologize. Wow.
that you and I both no longer, well, I don't want to speak for you, but I no longer want to see in title fights. I'm being told that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is being lined up for 2 different big fight opportunities, and he's deciding which one he wants to take. We have, on the one hand, a title shot against Caleb Plant at 168 pounds this fall, and the other one he's weighing is a fight also at 168 against Daniel Jacobs, who would be debuting at 168 pounds. I expect that Chavez Jr. is going to fight one of those guys. I don't see him being remotely competitive with either one. Do you care to see either one, and do you have a preference?
No, I don't care to see it. Well,
So I'll rewind it so people maybe if they missed it.
At 168 pounds this fall, and the other one for 2 different big fight opportunities, and he's deciding which one he wants to take. We have, on the one hand, a title shot against Caleb Plant at 168 pounds this fall, and the other one he's weighing is a fight also at 168 against Daniel Jacobs, who would be debuting at 168 pounds.
So the Caleb Plant fight is just atrocious. Like, no one should want that. No one should be happy with that. No, we should not accept that in any way, shape, or form. Though I understand why they would make it. A Caleb Plant, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight is either a great co-main event for a pay-per-view, or B, a great main event for Fox. Just because of the demographics involved, just because of Chavez's name, I understand from a monetary perspective why they would try to get a Chavez Plant fight to promote Plant. 100% understand why. And Plant would demolish him. A Daniel Jacobs fight, though, that's intriguing. First off, it's Jacobs moving up to 168. He's coming off a loss. And that in and of itself, I think, leads it to be more acceptable for Daniel Jacobs. And on top of that, I'm intrigued because then where does that fight land? Jacobs, Chavez Jr. DAZN fight? Is that a PBC on Fox fight? I'm curious. I forget how long is Daniel Jacobs' matchroom deal go for, but again, there's a possibility of that fight being a floater in terms of networks and branding. I'm curious about that one. And plus, it's just more of an acceptable matchup, right? Again, Jacobs coming off the loss, moving up a weight class. It's more acceptable than a Caleb Plant title defense, which we know would be a one-sided fight for a Caleb Plant. I do agree with Carpenter saying I do not want to see good old Chavez Jr. in any sort of title fights at all. He should be a gatekeeper to the top 10, point blank and simple. That's what he should be utilized for, because he's not a legit title contender. Rubisky saying it's a DAZN fight, I think, versus Jacobs. Yeah, but that wasn't stated. Lunatic saying Jacobs re-up for the Canelo fight, I think. Ooh, you think? Lunatic, come on, man. You're dropping the ball. Where's Leonard Sterling at? Is he asleep somewhere? Probably. He's an encyclopedic guy over there when it comes to UK knowledge. Moving on, again, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International caller Skype Mixed Combat Radio. I see Gary. I see Santiago. What's up, guys? Santiago, press 1 to get in the queue if you want to. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 more topics to go, and then we're going to take on some callers. Rubisky saying Plant versus Benavidez is the fight I want. We're all in agreement there. That's a great fight. It makes complete sense. Fights that don't make sense, though, is Aram saying that Loma Stevenson is more competitive than Loma Haney. What? Oh, God! Come on. What are you doing, Bobby? What are you doing? Hold on.
Stay off the weed.
Bob, you gotta get off those edibles, man. They got you really fucked up. Loma Stevenson, while an in-house fight, and I understand why a Bob Arum want to make it. Would only make sense if Loma wants to drop all the way back down to 126 after Shakur wins his WBO belt. Only way I would accept it. Even then, there's no way it's competitive. Loma wins that handily at this point in time. Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney too, unfortunately, are not really battle tested at the world level yet. They just aren't. Like, that's just something that we have to admit at this point. Devin Haney, though, is at least a fucking lightweight. You know, he's a guy that is a natural guy in the weight class that has the frame and size that could really give Loma some issues. And plus, I think he's extremely talented and has insane abilities at such a young age. So, no, I don't think it's possible to say Loma Stevenson's more competitive than Loma Haney. This is clear promoter talk from Bob Arum, and maybe clearly trying to set up a future fight between Loma and Stevenson down the line, maybe at 130 in a couple years when Stevenson moves up. I don't think Stevenson's going to stay at 126 for too long, mainly due to competition not really being there on his side of the block. But yeah, Loma Haney is a far more competitive fight than Loma Stevenson. And I'm a Shakur Stevenson fan. Like, I think he's a fantastic boxer. I don't think he's the greatest person, so to speak, but he is definitely a fantastic prospect. So I have to give him props, but come on. The guy's 2 weight classes higher and a pound-for-pound talent. Shakur has never beaten a top 10 guy in his division. Not once. It's insane. Daniel Roman shoulder is pulling out of that Madilia bout, which was on the September 13th Devin Haney card at MSG in New York, per Steve Kim. I'm not going to say, no, I will say it. This is a significant blow to the card. It was the second legit, or one of 2 legit world title fights on the card, one with Amanda Serrano and Heather Hardy, and which will be a good local draw for the market of New York. But Daniel Roman added some gravitas as a hardcore fan. It's unfortunate that he gets this injury and has to pull out. Hopefully he doesn't have anything extensive. Moving on, Mike Coppinger saying sources, Erickson Lubin versus Dennis Hogan. Yes. Got to Hogan getting another shot at like a big name in a sense. Because Lubin is a big name for a guy of his status, so to speak, right? I mean, most people in the boxing hardcore industry or community know who he is. But they're now headed... Oh, yeah, guys. It's not happening, though. They did have signed contracts, but now they're headed in different directions. Lubin will now fight Terrell Gaucher this fall, and Hogan are moving on to bigger opportunity in the PBC universe. Wonder what that bigger opportunity is, though. Maybe it's a Eslandi Laura fight, since Laura just won. I wouldn't mind a Laura Hogan fight. Unless he moves up to 160 and fights Jamal Charlo. Come on. Really, what else is there for a bigger opportunity at 154 right now? Everyone's tied up. Lunatic's saying I read that Hogan's going to fight Jamal Charlo. Yeah, I mean, if he moves up, then Jamal Charlo's the bigger name to fight. But if he stays at 154, then the only guy available is Eslandi Laura, and that's a tough fight. Charlo is at least a somewhat competitive fight, potentially. And last topic of the day, via Mike Coppinger manager Sam Gavatsky tells The Athletic that Alex Saucedo will return from a 1-year layoff November 2nd on the Miguel Berchelt card, I believe, against Rod Salka in an 8-rounder. Rod Salka. Also, midway prospect Austin Emma Williams will come back October 26th in London against Prograis-Taylor. That's it for the topics. Let's get to callers, guys. Let's go out to Gary in Dallas. Gary, what's up?
Austin Emma Williams is a name that everyone needs to learn. That kid is spectacular. And he's only been boxing for 3 years. He only had a 3-year amateur career. That kid he's going to be a 3-division world champ by the time his career is over. 54, 60, and 68. Want to bet?
Wait. What division did you say?
54. He fights at 60 now. He says he can easily make it. He usually fights at like 56 or 58. But he said he can easily go down to 54. So by the time Amma Williams' career is over, I say he'll be a champ at 54, 60, and 68.
Okay.
Do you not think he's that good?
I don't know.
I know he hasn't fought anybody yet, but that kid, he's one of the best prospects in the sport. I mean, I know he's only had 5 fights, but like that's someone everyone needs to watch. Like that kid is spectacular.
He's a good prospect. I'm not anywhere close to saying he's going to be a 3-division champion.
He's only been fighting for 3 years, and it's like, okay, we'll revisit Austin Amma Williams in 2 years.
Of
right?
course,
because
we
he's
can.
a year or two away, obviously, from being a year or two away. But like, for only starting boxing 3 years ago, like, I think that kid is unbelievable.
No, he's good. I mean, look, I've interviewed him. You know, like I've watched him fight live.
Have you?
Yeah. It's the interview's on our channel, I believe.
LA.
Yeah.
What card did he fight on?
That was the Rungs via Estrada too.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's a bright guy. He's good to talk to, good interview, good fighter, powerful hitter. But I mean, it's far too early for me to say he's going to be a 3-division champion. Far too early. Look at the champions at 154, 160, and 168. Like, look at those guys. They're not going to go away in 3 or 4 years. Canelo's going to be around. Caleb Plant's going to be around. David Benavidez is going to be around. Charlo Brothers is going to be around. J-Rock could still be around. Like, there's a lot of guys that could still be around and kicking and being top-level guys.
You're right. I was, but I don't think I'm being. I think
you are being hyperbolic.
Certain, yeah. I mean, maybe, but like if I was right, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, I think the kid is that talented. Like, I think there's that much talent in him that I don't think what I'm saying ultimately will be crazy, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he's one of the prospects that everyone needs to learn his name and they need to watch him because he's that special. But that's enough on Austin Amma Williams. What I wanted, this ridiculous fight, and I don't care that they have the fight, the Logan Paul. Why do I even know his name? Like, I know his name, and I know he's famous, but what does he do? Like, how did?
I think I want to say they got started with Vine. Remember Vine back in the day? They were big.
Yeah,
they were big Vine superstars, and then they did like parody music videos on YouTube that were very successful, I guess.
Okay. I have, like, if they want to fight each other, go fight each other. I don't care. Like, what's concerning to me is that they're trying to make it a real event, and they're putting world-class fighters on the undercard of this fight. You know how, like, All-Star Weekend in the NBA, they have the celebrity game, like, a couple of days before the All-Star game?
Yeah.
But, like, what if the NBA said, we're going to make that the primetime game, and we're going to have the actual NBA All-Star game in the lead-up to the it would, you know what I'm saying? We're going to have the actual NBA players play right before, and then Sunday, primetime, we're going to have the celebrities play. It's like, well, that's retarded. Like, that's ridiculous. I don't understand why they're selling this as a real event. Like, I don't. Does this fight interest you at all? Do you want to watch it?
No.
I don't.
No.
I don't understand the marketing here. Like, I don't.
They want to get a bunch of little kids, a bunch of teenagers to watch boxing, I guess. Which I understand. Like, that's always been the big issue with boxing the last, 20, 30 years is it's predominantly an older crowd that watches it. You know?
Sure.
How do you get the youth, involved? I guess this is Eddie Hearn's attempt.
Okay. So it's going to be on the zone, obviously, which means that non-boxing fans aren't going to watch it because they don't have the zone, right? if it was on just regular pay-per-view, it's like, okay, maybe some kids will spend the $60, $70 to buy it. But, like, you think you're going to get kids to subscribe to the Zone and ultimately keep the Zone because Logan Paul is fighting? Like,
Look, they did a million buys on YouTube for YouTube pay-per-views. They're gonna do at least 500,000 like live watchers in the U.S. Like guaranteed on the Zone. I guarantee this is gonna be subscriber. I guarantee you this right now. This fight's gonna be getting more subscribers at least for that month than any Triple G fight and maybe even any Canelo fight. Like easy. Like it's not even an argument really.
I don't know how famous these people are, and maybe you're right. It's hard for me to imagine that more people are going to buy that than the Canelo fight, but maybe you're right. I don't know.
I mean, their combined YouTube subscriber, I think, amount like KSI and Logan Paul, or just like the Paul brothers. I don't know what the fuck their account is called. I think it's like 60-something million people.
Holy shit! Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
I don't even. Okay. Wow.
Well, I mean, Logan Paul literally got, like, he was the first one to do a YouTube movie. Like, YouTube produced a movie for YouTube TV. He was one of the first ones they did that for.
Okay.
Like, this guy is a partner with YouTube. Like, a legit YouTube partner. Not like when they say, I'm a YouTube partner, but I'm not really.
This always makes me feel old. Because, like, I know his name. I just have no idea. I have no idea what he does or why he's famous. Okay. I mean, he's got 60 million subscribers.
Combined.
Wow.
Jay Willis is saying it's 40 million. I thought it was more than that. I still do think it's more than that. Especially if you combine like his brother's account too. Because we have Jake Paul's account, you know.
Okay. I mean, if they're that famous, I guess they will sell this thing. It's just the goal for the Zone to keep your subscriptions, to get your $20 every month. Let's say you're right, and they get 500,000 live viewers, and 400,000 of them are new subscribers. That's a great success. But the next month, how many of them do you think keep their $20 subscription? I would say between 0 and 10.
Look, Gary, you know me.
Gary,
you know me. I'm a cynical fuck, so I agree with you completely. And plus, like, these guys don't really... They're not long-term names. Like, when's the next time they're going to fight? A year from now again? You know? The thought, though, is that if you put a Devin Haney or other names like a Billy Joe Saunders, names that will be on the Zone fighting, that somehow these kids are not going to be fans of these fighters. I don't know if that's the case.
Maybe. Devin Haney, maybe.
Devin Haney is a good one,
Saunders, no. People don't like Billy Joe Saunders in boxing world, including his home countrymen, right? Like, he's not a very entertaining to the casual. Like, no one who buys the Zone to watch Logan Paul fight is going to keep it to watch Billy Joe Saunders fight in the future. I would reckon that number is 0, but I could be wrong. Devin Haney, maybe, right? Like, Devin Haney, a likable guy. He's a marketable guy.
He's young.
He speaks well. He's young.
That's the biggest thing. Like, Billy Joe Saunders might be 29 years old. And I said this to Rob and the crew yesterday. I don't know if you called in yesterday. I forget. But it was like Billy Joe Saunders acts like a mid-40-year-old fat guy. Right? Like, that's his, like, that's his spirit animal. So, even though he's technically in his 20s, he doesn't really sell to the kids. Devin Haney sells to the kids. No. His branding has been to sell to the kids. Who he's been linked with in terms of relationships, romantically, in terms of the pop culture world, is for the kids. So, he makes complete sense. They might have some success with him being on the card. Long term, hopefully. But that's the only way.
Right. I agree with that. That kid has a future as a fighter and as a moneymaker. I agree with all that. The other thing I want to tell you, this is a little bit off topic. Sean Porter And I was watching the Sean Porter and Errol Spence face-off thing on PBC.
Mm-hmm.
Sean
How was
Porter
it? I've only seen clips. How was it?
It was good. It's
From what I've seen, it's been good. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Porter got a little emotional, which you don't usually see out of him. But my point was, like, Sean Porter is a heck of a fighter.
Yeah.
Who fights everyone. You know, doesn't trash talk and then duck people. You don't see Sean Porter getting arrested for coke and hookers. You don't see him throwing his girlfriend down the flight of stairs. Right? Like, he's a good dude who stays out of trouble, doesn't talk trash, fights everyone, and he's really good. How come he has no fan base? Seriously.
You know what all that was? Boring.
But he doesn't fight boring. He fights everyone.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. You're absolutely right about that. I will say this, though. There have been several times at the biggest stage of his career where he has had either boring fights, lackluster fights, or just he's flat out lost. Right? Cubrook fight was a dud in terms of action, entertainment. He lost that fight as well. Keith Thurman fight, while super entertaining, he lost. Danny Garcia fight, no one watched.
But why? Why would no one? That's why. That's the part I don't understand. He's a name, and that's a great fight. Him and Danny Garcia. Why did no one watch that fight? Like, why does no one say Sean Porter's my favorite fighter? Like, that sentence has been uttered by no one.
I'll be honest. To this day, I have no idea why Danny Garcia and Sean Porter pulled in the pedestrian numbers they pulled in. No idea. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, their numbers on regular cable, basic cable were great. Their numbers traditionally on Showtime were great. I want to say, even like the Danny Garcia Brandon Rios fight did on par with Danny Garcia Sean Porter in terms of numbers. Like, that doesn't make sense. There was a fundamental miscommunication between the network, the fight, and the audience in some way, or at least the intended audience. But Sean Porter overall, he's always been that guy that doesn't really get the biggest draw, the biggest pop. Mainly because of all the things you said, Gary. In today's modern age, the guys that sell are Mayweather, Gervonta Davis, Deontay Wilder, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, John Jones. You go down the list of people that are sellers. They're usually a little bit over the top with their character. And Sean Porter is 100% not over the top. He's just a normal guy. Like, I remember when a bunch of us back at Name Redacted went and trained with him, like legit went and trained with him. He was super cool. Like, he would give us pointers. Like, the guy is an awesome dude, but good guys don't sell in the sport, traditionally speaking. And that's just unfortunate nature of the business.
Sure. I mean, Pacquiao did, right? Like Pacquiao was never a trash talker. Pacquiao, he
but
fought most people.
Gary, we have to understand that Pacquiao's career, where he fought predominantly a bunch of Mexican fighters on the come up, had fight of the years. It's just no one. Sean Porter didn't do that. He didn't have that come up.
You're right. It's just like you look at Porter's been in a lot of big fights. Cal Brook, Thurman, Danny Garcia. And it hasn't mattered. Like, he still has zero fans. Like, you just think like somebody who's been in that many big fights would grow a following, and he just hasn't at all. Right? Like he just hasn't. And again, he fought Danny Garcia, which was a fight that I don't know. I thought we were all looking forward to, but apparently nobody watched.
He's
right?
fought Adrian Broner. Like, think about the names think about the names this guy has. He's fought everyone. And he
fought all those lower level PBC guys too. He fought all of them.
He's fought everyone.
Like, I obviously want Errol Spence to win, but like, part of me is just like, something good deserves to happen to Sean Porter, right? He's not going to win. He's obviously going to lose. And Spence is my guy, but like, a part of me kind of wants to see something good happen to Sean Porter, right? Like, he's one of boxing's good guys who behaves like a champion. right? Like,
Plus, has some really crazy wins in his amateur career too. Like he beat Demetrius Andrade and Alexander Usyk in the amateurs. Like that's just weird. Like the guy's
yeah, I know.
the guy has a great career. He's like, probably speaking, might be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done, because he'll just end up fighting everyone, and he has another 10 years in his career probably. Honestly speaking.
Well, he's 30 now. Yeah.
Yeah, but he can fight till he's 40.
Years. Yeah.
He can definitely fight till he's 40. Fuck.
Yeah.
Come on, today's age and today's modern medicine, he's definitely fighting till he's 40. Another 10 years of making money in the pro ranks, man. Like, the guy's going to have a Hall of Fame career when it's all said and done. Definitely deserves more credit in this fight with Spence than I think a lot of people are giving him credit for. I think this fight's going to be far more competitive than people think. A lot more competitive. Sean, I mean, think about this. Earl Spence had to get on his wheels and box because Mike Garcia was marching him down. A fucking lightweight, guys. Come on. Sean Porter's going to give him some work. The disrespect.
Yeah. And Spence said in the interview, the PBC interview, that that's what he wanted to outbox and outmaneuver Garcia because everyone said he couldn't do it. And I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea. But that's what Spence said. You'd have to say that Garcia fight was not a quintessential Spence performance. Like, that's not the Spence you expected to see or that we've seen in the past, right? Like
no.
Different.
If Spence was, no one wants to say this, but if Spence was the monster with all that power, why couldn't he march down Mikey who was a fucking lightweight? Like, why couldn't he march him down?
No.
Ever. For 12 rounds. He beat him up. He beat him up on the back foot, but he never marched him down.
He was that was the game plan, that he wanted to show the world that he could outbox Mikey Garcia because everyone. Again, I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that's what Spence said. He said that was the game plan, was to outbox him and show the world that he could outbox and outmaneuver Mikey. It doesn't. At one point in the interview, you should go watch the interview if you recorded it. He said that he didn't want to hurt Mikey Garcia, and Porter looked at him like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing? Like, you didn't want to hurt him? Like, that's ridiculous." But I don't know.
Come on, Spence. No, hey, you know that's bullshit. Even as a Spence fan, you have to admit that's some bullshit. That's not. None of that's true.
That's ridiculous. This is the fight business. It's the hurt business. It's what you do. It's casualty of war. People get hurt.
And think about it. We all thought going into that fight, it's Earl fucking Spence, a giant welterweight, a great fighter, great power, a mauling style. He marched down Lamont Peterson and beat him up. What is he going to do to Mikey Garcia, who's a lightweight? And he never did that. We never saw that Spence. And I don't believe for 1 second it's because he wanted to have that game plan. No, if he thought he could march down Mike Garcia and put him out in 4 rounds, he would have done that. He couldn't.
Right, of course, because that's his style. Absolutely. No, I think this is like Jacobs versus Canelo, where everyone says, "Ooh, this is a good fight," but everyone picks Canelo. Like, everyone says, "Ooh, this is a good fight," but everyone picks Spence. I don't know anyone who's taken Porter, and most people think it's going to be a good fight. Like, I think it's going to be a good fight. I just think Spence wins. I mean, I don't see how Porter wins. Like, he's not really a one-punch power. He doesn't have one-punch power. So it's not like he's just going to catch him in an exchange and knock him out. If he boxes him from the outside, he's going to lose. And on the inside, that's still kind of Spence's game. Spence outworks him on the inside.
I don't know.
I guess.
Sean Porter is definitely going to be the best inside boxer Spence is ever going to be, has ever faced in his pro career. Porter is.
For sure. Absolutely. That's the game plan, right? To get inside and make it a scrap.
Absolutely.
It just seems like with Spence's strength and power and body attack, that's the wrong game plan to fight Errol Spence with.
I think
it's like the only thing that
look, Porter might be stronger than Spence on the inside. People are really like overrating Spence here, and maybe Spence comes out here and walks down Porter and beats him up and puts him out within 6 rounds, and I'm wrong.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening either. I mean, Porter's been in there with everyone. It's not going to be an early night.
No,
It's
I don't think. I think Spence definitely has the power to hurt Porter, but definitely doesn't have the power to put him out. I think Porter has the tenacity, the volume, and to be honest, people are underrating his boxing skills to contend with Spence in every department. The only game I don't think he wins is the outside game. I think you were 100% right about that. I think Porter gets eaten up on the outside. He did against Thurman. He did against Brook. He did against, even at times against Broner, times against Danny Garcia, obviously. If he's stuck in
and
Ugas, if he's stuck on the outside, he doesn't really know what to do. You know, if he's not allowed to go in and out, really where he is sort of in control, he gets lost at times. But I do think he's going to give Spence the toughest work easily since the Kell Brook fight, and probably more than the Kell Brook fight.
No, it's obviously the second best name on that Spence has ever fought, right? Like Kell Brook is the best, and this is the second best. And,
though, I know Kell Brook obviously has the close win against Sean Porter, but long term, do we think Kell Brook has a better career than Sean Porter?
Career-wise, yeah. Like, did he have a better career than Kell Brook? Yeah, his career's definitely better.
Okay.
I mean, Kell Brook's got the win over Porter and then a bunch of B-level guys, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So his career's definitely better, but Kell Brook in his prime, 3, 4, 5 years ago, Kell Brook was really good.
Man, we're gonna have a Kell Brook discussion one day. It's not today though, because Michael Safar just beat up Jeff Horn, and Kell Brook beat Michael Safar, so like it's not the time. But Kell Brook is grossly overrated, and he got a lucky win in a very ugly fight against Sean Porter, and only fought 2 top-level guys after that, and lost both fights.
Well, one guy was a middleweight, so
Hey, look, shit happens, man. Like, that's just the case. He fought 2. He's fought 3 top-level guys. He's only won 1 of those fights, and it was a very close, controversial decision in a very ugly fight where no one was really efficient in anything they did. And on top of that, he even struggled against B-level names at times, too. Like him on the come-up. He had, like, how many fights with Carson Jones? You know, like...
Carson, I know at least twice, and the first one was... I didn't see it, but apparently they had the second one because the first one was highly controversial. And then he beat the other guy that... what the hell was his name? I always want to call him Devchenko. What was his name? The Russian guy. That Paulie Malignaggi won his belt from. That knocked out Ricky Hatton in Hatton's comeback. Suchenko? Is that his name?
Gosh, who? I'll look it up. Yeah, Senchenko. Yeah. Is it Senchenko?
It's something like that. He fought
something
him,
like that. I know you're talking about.
They come up. He fought Carson. It's like names like that. Not any. I mean, the pros, they're decent fighters, but there's not anything that's gonna.
There's a time where even people like me, I think, foolishly said that Kell Brook was the best welterweight on the planet, better than even Keith Thurman at the time. That was a very foolish thing to say in hindsight.
It's foolish to say based on resume, because even coming up, like, Keith beat some good fighters. Kell Brook never did. Like even before, like, Guerrero and Zabik, Bungu, like,
quickly, hold on. Very, very quickly. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. 7 million to Duck Dillion in the chat, which is a very funny name. Brook fought best 2 pound-for-pound boxers. First off, he didn't. He fought one of the best pound-for-pound boxers and fought a great contender / prospect on the come-up in Earl Spence, who wasn't pound-for-pound at the time. And definitely, even right now, isn't one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world. He's not even top 5. Stop. And loses, and you call him garbage. I didn't call him garbage. I call him overrated. He's overrated. That's what he is. Like, it's not that Kell Brook was a bad fighter; it's just that he was grossly overrated. Like, we thought he was the best welterweight on the planet. He never once proved that ever.
No, he was. I mean, you couldn't give him. Do I think he could have beat Keith Thurman? 4 years ago.
I don't know.
Maybe.
That Keith Thurman was something
Great fight.
different. I don't know. But then again, that Kell Brook was something different too.
It would have been a great fight. But he had never done anything to. The only really A name, or even really B+ name on his resume, is Shawn Porter. Everyone else is kind of like, yeah, that's a decent fighter, but is it that good? It's just.
In terms of
Shawn
wins,
Porter,
yes,
and
yes,
then
yeah.
bunch of
Like
maybe
JoJo
you better
Dan
beat that
and
guy.
people like that.
Yeah.
Frankie Gavin.
Frankie Gavin is another one. Like, you better be Frankie Gavin if you want to be a world-class fighter. Like, it's kind of a given. Then, what is with? I'm going to ask again. I asked you that. I heard there was more news said. The World Boxing Super Series fight between Prograis and Taylor.
Yes.
What's the hold up on that now?
So it's official in terms of, like, everyone has put out press releases and posters and everything for it, right? But some things aren't officially signed. Right here, Prograis is in the process of signing the bout agreement as well as settlement papers. So things aren't officially signed, but all things are just being, like, it looks like T's are being crossed and I's are being dotted, so to speak, on the contracts. And really the only hold up, so to speak, is Prograis wants VADA testing, additional VADA testing for the fight.
Okay. I mean, that should be easy enough to iron out.
Yeah, everything else seems like they've agreed on. There's a 6-figure settlement for Prograis. There's neutral judges. There's going to be a British ref. The date was moved to accommodate Prograis more. That's why we got this new date.
What's the new date?
October 26th.
Okay. Okay. So that's because I'm really into this fight. Like, you think Prograis? And I picked Prograis because I think Prograis is that good. He'll figure out a way to adjust and win the fight. I think stylistically, Taylor's a really tough out for him. I do think Prograis will figure it out, and he'll figure out enough way to win the round, and he'll win a competitive decision. But Taylor's good, man.
No, he is. No, I think Taylor's very good. Plus, he has the height, the reach, significant height and reach. However, I think Prograis has far superior defensive ability. I think he probably has more power too. Though that might be arguable. I can accept an argument from that. And at this point in time, I mean, they're both so battle tested that, like, experience is probably equal at this point.
Yeah.
If I'm looking from a pure stylistic matchup, Prograis' head movement, the way he dips and moves around shots, I think Taylor's jab and the way he really sticks to straight shots until he wants to throw that really looping long left hand. I think it's going to give Prograis enough time to slip those shots, get under it, go to the body, beat up Taylor. And I honestly think Prograis is definitely going to have the hand speed advantage, 100%. And that's going to be a significant factor.
I mean, it kind of comes down to, can Prograis figure out a way to consistently get underneath the jab and work in the mid-range and the inside on Taylor. Now, Prograis not really a guy that wins on the inside, but he's going to have to do that to beat Taylor. Because if they just jab at the long range, Taylor's jab is much longer. So Prograis got to figure out a way to get inside of that consistently. He's an excellent fighter, right? Like, he's one of those fighters. So he's good enough where he can figure out how to do that. But it's gonna take time to adjust to it. I can't think of. Oh, I guess has he ever fought a guy with a long jab like that at a high level?
And Dongo's.
Dongo, but he blew Dongo out. Yeah, he blew Dongo out right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'd be the only person.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Prograis, but that's a really good fight stylistically. Like it's gonna be. Tell is going to be a lot of problems for Prograis, but I think Prograis is good enough to figure it out. That's really all I got.
Really? We have more.
Before I go, I put my top 20 MCs on as a comment on that show.
What championship?
Your show.
The Trending Now show.
The Trending Now show. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
So
I'll review it.
I didn't know the other guy on the show, not you, not the other guy.
Yeah, Anthony Walker.
Okay, his list was good. I think everyone's list was good. It was just like Fu's 20 names were good, but like, did he understand that he was supposed to put them in order? He just come up with 20 names.
I don't know.
Like
Fu had no idea what he was doing. Fu had no idea what he was doing. I'll be completely honest. Yeah.
It seems like he came to the table like, here's my 20 names. Like, well, can you put them in order from 20 to 1? He's like, I have to do it on the fly now. You know, like, okay. I'm guessing I'm asking, did Fu understand the assignment?
No, he did not. And to be fair, neither did Anthony.
Okay. I don't think Anthony's list was bad. I didn't think anyone's list was bad. Like,
Mine was the best.
List was, but it doesn't everyone think that because it's your list. Like, if I gave you my pound for pound list, I would inherently think my pound for pound list is better than yours.
Of course.
Because if I thought your list was better than mine, I would just
yeah. But I can prove why mine is better than yours. I guarantee that. I haven't looked at your list yet, Gary, but I know Jay-Z is not going to be on it, and automatically mine's better than yours. Automatically mine's better than yours. Yep. Trash.
And the only thing that I was outraged about a little bit was, including yourself, no one had any West Coast love. I think you're the only one who even put Corrupt on their list. Like, no one had E40. Nobody had Mac 10. Nobody had Too Short.
Nah, I'm sorry. E40, nah, not top 20. Not top 20. Top 50 for sure. But not top 20. Like a lot of the West Coast guys like E40 or even like a Mac Dre or any of those guys, like they're very talented. They obviously have such a love from us in the West Coast, but we're smart enough to know that if we're ranking off of being objective, they're not top 20 guys. They're just not.
E40's not?
No. Top 20, no. Top 40 for sure. Top 50 for sure.
I guess I think I have E40 at like 18 or 19. And then you were the only one who also has 50 on their list, right? Like, I don't have him high on my list, but he's on the list.
Yeah, I think I was only one too.
I don't get that. And then like no one had Too Short. Too Short's no good.
Not top 20.
I think I had him in the top. I have him at 9 on my list. Are you old enough? I mean, you know the history, right? But you're old enough to know Too Short's catalog, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, like, I think I said this comment to on the show. I was like, look, like there's some old school shit that like I love and I revere, but it's not shit that I'm gonna say, yeah, top 20. Like it's not. Like Big L was another one like that. That was like, look, like Big L is a legend, but great MC, great lyricist, but not really top 20 for me. Like he's just a little bit too old for me in a way. But I love Too Short. Too Short's great, but that's not top 20.
Then, like, the disappointing thing was I could only put one NWA member on the list. Like, I really wanted to put MC Ren on it, and I really wanted to put Eazy-E on it, but, like, there's only – the problem with the top 20 is that there's only 20 spots. So it's like, as much as I love Eazy-E, you can't take anyone off the list to put him on. But I like Fabulous, too. There's no place to put Fabulous on the list. There's just not in the top 20.
I agree.
Corrupt too. I didn't have a place for Corrupt. Those were like Corrupt, Eazy-E, Fabulous, and Method Man. I didn't have on my list. I couldn't take anyone off the list to put those guys on.
Meth should have been on though. Wait, did you have anyone from Wu-Tang? If you have no one from Wu-Tang
No,
in your top
I didn't
20,
either. No, I have no one on the Wu-Tang in the top 20. Well, Ghostface would be the only other person you would put up on that list.
really? Raekwon?
Who else from Wu-Tang would you...
Jizza?
Oh, you're right. No, I have like Raekwon's not high on the list. Raekwon's on the list. It's not like 16,
Okay.
17, something. You're right. Raekwon's on the list. He's not high on the list, but he's on it.
Tony Yayo in the chat is coming back at you with the whole Too Short mention, saying Too Short has a ton of trash, just like Snoop. Their catalog is too extensive for their own good. Too Short songs like Blow Your Whistle is trash. Rebuttal.
Wow. Too Short, Mac 10, E40 are the most underrated MCs. Like, they should be on everyone's list.
No.
And they're on no one's list.
No.
I'm going to have a binge listen to all my old E40, Too Short stuff. Too Short was excellent. I think he's in my top 10. He's right around 10 on my list. Too Short was excellent.
Anything else, Gary? You want to talk about some boxing?
That's... no, I got all the boxing out, I think.
All right. Thank you for the call, Gary.
All right. But take a look at that list and let me know what you think.
Okay, it's probably trash, but thank you. Thank you for the call, Gary. Really appreciate it. Guys, that's going to be it for today. Everyone's having a great day, great evening, great night, wherever they are. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. And if you want to get more of that hip-hop content, check out that video, Trending Now Network on YouTube. If you want to find that video, go to our YouTube page right now, Mixed Combat Radio. On the right-hand column, you're going to see all the featured channel section if you're on your desktop. If you're on your mobile, go over to the channel part. So you're going to be like videos, community, playlist. Go to channels, find Trending Now Network. It's right there. You can find a bunch of shows about pop culture, movies, TV, music, all that fun stuff. And obviously, the debate show I had with Fu, Anthony Walker from Sherdog, and MMA On Point. Which reminds me, again, tonight, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Time, MMA show, UFC 242 breakdown, and covering Chris Cyborg going to Bellator and leaving the UFC with Anthony Walker tonight. But yes, Trending Now Network, all that fun stuff. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. And hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. What else? Anything? Tomorrow, boxing show, previewing the stuff coming up this weekend. Rob should be on. Championship rounds was moved from obviously last Friday to this Friday. So that post on Patreon, which is open to the public, go leave a question or topic, and that'll be answered on this Friday's championship rounds show on Patreon. That's about it. Yeah. Peace. Have a good night, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Peace.